one more time and then you can stop. Because, there's that, honestly, a dumb tweet from Danny Cannell about how the media should stop asking players if they've been vaccinated or how they feel about vaccines. A couple of things here become increasingly remarkably clear to me. One is sort of even beyond this situation. If any professional athlete rejects modern medicine, that is a story. Across the board, right? And I'm not talking about, being vegan as opposed to eating meat or whatever. I'm saying you're going for alternate forms of treatment on your ACL reconstruction, on your Achilles. It was a story that the Jets were going through all of this stuff with Colecchio Simile, I think also with Becton a little bit, right? Where there's some distrust from team doctors to individual doctors. They weren't nobody was getting a shoulder rebuilt with horse meat. There were no horse tendons being used on anybody here. But you're going through this process and you go, well, you know what? There's some disagreement between individual players and their agents and their favorite doctors and team doctors. That became a story, reasonably so. But if any NFL player tore their Achilles and said, I'm just going to let it heal on its own and see what happens, first of all, it would end their career. And second of all, we would all go, oh, sorry, what are you doing? It's absolute nonsense. And this is one of the elements of the COVID and the vaccine situation where everyone talks about it being a personal choice. I mean, and it is in the truest sense of the word. But at some point, you've got to make value judgments. And I've seen stories of people with various heart conditions that aren't getting the vaccine yet based on what their doctors have suggested, or people who have some sort of genetic thing where they don't get all the vaccines that most people would be getting as their doctors suggested. The important part is not the first half of those statements, but the second. If you've got a doctor's note that says, hey, you shouldn't have this or the other vaccine, if it's polio or COVID, I have no gripe with you because you're listening to, theoretically, a verified blue check mark doctor. My blue check mark is essentially my doctorate.
Yeah.
It's basically a PhD in the internet, is what I like to think.
Dr. Brisco with an E.
Nope, no E. So there's all of that. That's all. It's newsworthy if a player rejects modern medicine in one form or another. COVID right now is just so all-encompassing that people have fatigue. It's become political, but I don't think that the polio vaccine is political at this moment. It probably was as it was rolling out. But the other element here, I can tell you a couple of things, the cycles that I went through today trying to figure out what the deal was with Chris Paul. If Chris Paul was not vaccinated, we're talking about a full 2+ weeks missing the Western Conference Finals because he would be quarantining, potentially dealing with symptoms. He would have been, as I understand it, a larger threat to transmit to his teammates and the people around him. And we would be living in a fully different world right now where we don't have, we're looking at a bubble again as opposed to increasing to full capacity because we have this power of vaccines, but specifically for Chris Paul. If Chris Paul lived his life the exact same way that he did here, stroke of bad luck, not irresponsible, we don't know, but let's say it's just simply a stroke of bad luck. A player who does not get the vaccine, top of their team, top of their sport. This could have happened to LeBron. LeBron's been very quiet throughout this process about if he's vaccinated or not.
Which probably means something. But
seems like an indicator. Not necessarily, but seems like an indicator. If you are the most important player on your team, or
one of wasn't vaccinated from losing,
one of the most important players on your team,
or the Suns,
a leader on your team, a coach on your team even, and you end up not being available because you chose not to get the thing backed by science that is currently right now bringing us back to a pre-pandemic lifestyle, I would say slowly but surely, but honestly, pretty quickly. Things are moving pretty quick here in America in the grand scheme of things in terms of vaccinations. It is ending with the same impact as choosing not to be there for a game. It's a couple degrees separated, but you simply cannot do that. I'm not saying that you have to do every single thing at every turn to be on the court. I'm saying if the option is there to do something that's going to keep, theoretically, COVID from impacting you and your team and totally uprooting what you have to this point, you have a responsibility not just to your teammates, but for everybody else, to the people around you, to do that thing that is free and easy and reasonable and backed by science. Also, a little bit of an offshoot from that, another reason that everyone needs to get it, or a higher percentage that America's currently pacing at needs to get it, is because it is not a 100% perfect impenetrability. But if everybody in the room is vaccinated, the odds of somebody bringing it in still incredibly minute. We also have all these other variants that are showing up and everything. Then the chances of somebody else in that room catching it, even more minute. Then you take it back home and you have even more minute chances of you passing it along to anybody else. It's the simple science of being vaccinated against diseases that are ravaging the world. We have also pretty significant history of vaccines throughout modern medicine. Anyway, the fact that he did get vaccinated and then tested positive is really unfortunate and really frustrating. Also, the NBA is not having, the world is not having, sports are not having the swaths of positive tests that were plaguing all of us, literally, I guess, a year ago. Because of the science and people opting in to science and the power of incredible and impressive modern medicine. We do that all the time. To say I'm not going to wear my seatbelt because I'm not sure that I need to or whatever. To reject the science of this moment because it's a personal choice is really frustrating, and it's not only irresponsible for yourself, it's irresponsible to the people that you impact. And so this morning, that news comes down about Chris Paul. My first thought is, holy bleep, is he not vaccinated? Now again, he is. He did the thing he was supposed to do, and bleep happens. It's frustrating, it's disappointing. Hopefully he's back as soon as possible. Most of the reports at this point, relatively optimistic. Beards also, at some point you turned, I believe, the movie 300 on. I'm not sure why.
Because there's NBA following it.
Well, it's not on right now. As of now, I'm watching.
He's just a big fan of the movie
It's
300.
the second movie 300. It's the second 300 movie. 301.
The best one.
Dalmatians.
No, I think they're
Why are we
Persians.
watching it right now, though?
Because I didn't want to watch baseball.
I mean, fair enough, I guess, but... And now I'm watching NFL Network, so thanks for that.
He's a big fan of the movie, man.
I've only seen the first one once.
He loves the Persians.
The one other thing that we didn't fully get to during our NFL COVID discussion that I'm going to just bring up here and get some people mad at me and then we'll move on to something else is that aside from the irresponsibility and the way that it impacts the people around you, it's the same stuff as the mask stuff, right? You aren't wearing your mask because it's getting other people's particles out of your mouth. It's so you don't spit particles in everybody else's faces, whatever. And it's like one of the most simple possible forms of just like being decent to each other, and vaccines are the reasons that nobody's dying in an iron lung anymore. But whatever. Maybe that's too woke. I don't know. The other thing though that is frustrating to me that I just don't really think I'm gonna try to walk the line on at this point is the personal choice thing, right? That's the phrase that has gotten thrown out. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif used the phrase personal choice. God bless him. He also got the vaccine, said that you should get the vaccine. He is a doctor. I don't know whatever mentions that.
But he's a doctor?
He went to medical school. You know, I didn't play for the Chiefs last year. He was doing doctor stuff.
Next, you're going to tell me he just happened to go to the same college as Andy Reid's mom.
What if I told you that he started a program with Harvard over the course of
What?
the most recent break? I don't
I
know.
actually didn't know that.
That was revealed in the pressers yesterday.
That one's actually new. Yeah.
So, you know, I do want people to make actual, like, informed choices. The issue here is that there's a difference between making an informed choice and a choice that is under some sort of conspiratorial guise of education. A YouTube video and a massive panel of doctors should not have the same amount of medical sway. I say this to defer to doctors, not because I am one, but because I am not.
He's verified like one.
That is true. But the other thing, and this is a sloppy analogy, and it's gonna frustrate people, and it's fine. If NFL player X, I'm not trying to add any names to anything because I don't want to get anybody in trouble by accident. NFL player X comes up to the podium, and a reporter asks, "Hey, so what are you doing diet wise this year?" Maybe they look a little thick. What are you doing diet wise this year? Did you do anything different this offseason? Did you do anything different heading into this season? And he goes, "Yeah, actually. So what I've done is I only eat Pop-Tarts now for every meal. Sometimes they're room temperature, and sometimes they're toasted, and sometimes they're frozen.
What flavor?
A whole variety of flavors. You know, I believe in a diversified portfolio of Pop-Tarts. And I eat Pop-Tarts every meal now. Sometimes I'll just eat one. Sometimes I'll eat both of the ones in the packet. Sometimes I'll eat 2-pack. You know, it's up. It depends on how I'm feeling that day. But I got a whole pantry. It's full of nothing but Pop-Tarts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my personal decision. Please respect it. Would you?
Yes.
Would you?
No. Maybe.
Now, if you want to say, Josh, this is ridiculous that you're equating the COVID vaccine to Pop-Tarts. It is. But it's exaggeration and hyperbole. It's kind of the point.
I mean, the people who haven't been vaccinated yet probably...
There's nothing wrong with Pop-Tarts. Don't you badmouth Pop-Tarts, Rudy.
No. I
just don't eat only Pop-Tarts.
I think they would believe in the science of only eating Pop-Tarts more than COVID.
98% of doctors agree that eating Pop-Tarts every single meal for your entire life is a bad idea.
2% of doctors disagree.
98%. I'm going 98%. 98% of doctors agree that Pop-Tarts for every meal is a bad idea.
The 2% made their own Pop-Tart that just has all the nutrition that you actually need.
That's actually probably
Maybe it's just those 2%
it.
were like, no, you actually can't eat just this Pop-Tart.
But if they said, that's the strategy, that's what I'm going with here. You know, Lucas Niang showed up like just being a big human being, and then like 7 people on Twitter called him fat and said he was reporting overweight. If he would have reported it and said, I've only eaten Pop-Tarts, you would not say, you know what, that's a personal decision and I respect it. Because it's dumb. That's sort of the thing. Now, if you say, listen, I have a very rare dietary issue where the only thing I can eat are Pop-Tarts and the only thing that my doctors are telling me to eat are Pop-Tarts, you are clear. You are not the person that I'm talking to. But to a tremendous swath of the country that is only eating Pop-Tarts and then is saying, well, I've done my own research and I think I can get by with the nutrients in the Pop-Tarts, you're making this harder on yourself. The difference is that Pop-Tart consumption isn't contagious. Well, maybe. You know what? That might not actually. I don't think I've ever bought, I haven't bought Pop-Tarts in a very long time, but occasionally girlfriend Renee will buy a box of Pop-Tarts and then I will eat a Pop-Tart because they are right there. Mm-hmm. So in some ways, maybe Pop-Tarts are contagious.
You pop them into a toaster.
But you have to decide at some point. That is an extreme, right? I'm not even saying those are identical. I'm saying that is an extreme. The other side, someone's saying, yeah, I've stopped drinking soda. That's my personal decision. Mm-hmm. Okay, you have 2 total extremes where you say, you know what, not drinking soda anymore, reasonable personal decision by my judgment. Only eating Pop-Tarts, unreasonable. Where is choosing to not get the COVID vaccine? To not be vaccinated, to not listen to your doctor, to not treat your body well as a professional athlete, whatever form that may take. I've set the 2 edges on the spectrum for you. You tell me where your line is that crosses it. What is a respect my personal decision and what is unreasonable? It's not going to be the same for everybody. It may not be the same for anybody. But to pretend that, well, it's my choice, is an all-encompassing pass beyond having to do any sort of critical thinking is so frustrating to me. Because it's super lazy, it's super unhelpful, and typically it's pretty ignorant. But we end up in this space all the time where Montez Sweat says, I need more information, but I don't like that they brought doctors in. Who do you want your information from? Your local Pop-Tart dealer, maybe. I don't know. That part just really frustrates me. Because again, there are so many things where someone can make a personal choice, and it's totally within the realm of general reason. There are lots of things that are arguable. There are lots of things you can disagree on. Lots of things that ride some of those lines. There are also some things that are completely unreasonable. Everybody's going to draw that line in different places. But saying, I don't care to listen to my doctor on this medical issue is not something that, generally speaking, we think of as being a reasonable thing to do. Trey Smith is a Chiefs draft pick because he and his doctors and the Chiefs got on the same page to try to figure out how to manage his blood clots. If Trey Smith said, actually, I don't want to take medication for these blood clots, or the Chiefs said, hey, we don't want you to take medication for your blood clots, he would not be playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes' kneecap would still be on the side of his leg, and we still wouldn't know what happened in the Browns game. His toe would still have turf toe. If he said, it's my personal decision to leave my kneecap right where you put it. Again, this is hyperbolic. Totally admitting it's hyperbolic. But talking about it in literal terms doesn't seem to always be connecting, so we go to hyperbole.
So what you're saying is you feel great about having Cam Payne as your starting point guard going into the Western Conference Finals.
And I'm having freaking Pop-Tarts for dinner.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
Be the
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco
We've had a very like woke hour here, I feel like.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Shout out to the Twitch chat. I told Rudy as I was wandering over to the air conditioner in the studio and then back to my chair. So I don't think I'm gonna look at Twitch today. I saw not for this segment. I saw chat moving too quickly for me to assume that it was only good things. And he was like, no, they were good. It was good. So appreciate the congratulations on the huge Twitter verification and also various comments, such as, I would be kind of impressed with an offensive lineman maintaining weight only on Pop-Tarts. And do you remember Mumps? Pepperidge Farms remembers. It's just a bunch where the microchips fit into this. All just a bunch of good stuff, even though apparently the audio wasn't working at the beginning. What you missed was and verified and Chris
Absolutely
Paul
nothing.
and
Not a
vaccines.
thing. Chris Paul is verified now that he got the vaccine.
The other thing that I would Rudy, now that you mention it, I am verified. I am verified on Twitter, but you know what the most important V in my life is? That I'm vaccinated. Wow. Wow, what a great Rudy, could you please clap for me, please? Please clap with me.
It's bad, but I have to clap.
Thank
Otherwise,
you.
I'm anti-vaccine.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll talk a bunch of Royals in hour 2. David Lesky of Inside the Crown and Royals Review will join us
Bad
here in
last clap.
25 minutes. Yeah, my hands sting a little bit. We'll get to some of the Royals rage that I have boiling within me, but I want to talk about some of the other NBA stuff with both of you guys.
I had a
Beards?
scary one today.
Beards, can you get me a shot clock, please?
Oh, why, of course I can. It's ready to go.
I want to see if I can give you all of the day's NBA news in less than 24 seconds.
I think there's also a chance you may be forgetting one.
Is there something new?
It was not new. It was this morning. Yahoo Sports had a report on it. I do not see it on here. I'll let you go, though.
Just snipe it in at the end if I missed it.
Okay.
Ready, Beards?
Yeah.
And hit it. Chris Paul entered the COVID protocol. The Clippers fear that Kawhi Leonard has an ACL injury, originally reported as a right knee sprain. The Mavs split with GM Donnie Nelson. LaMelo Ball won Rookie of the Year. Scott Brooks out from the Washington Wizards. Stan Van Gundy out after only 1 year in New Orleans. Jokic is not playing in the Olympics because he's no longer even a top 20 Serbian player after getting his nuggies swept. The Nets last night were ridiculous. Kevin Durant was incredible. James Harden was a nightmare, and they won anyway, and the Bucks seem like they might be toast. What did I miss?
Yahoo Sports is reporting that John Calipari is open to the NBA.
Oh, no bleep? For real?
That's what they said.
Interesting.
Extension
Now,
incoming.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, he's got a lifetime deal at
Bonus
Kentucky.
incoming.
But yeah, now Calipari has denied it, but
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
I guess it's the right job. I don't know.
Yeah.
If
Hey,
Boston offered him a job, I think he would think about it.
this
it's a
is
No
good
thanks.
team.
No thanks.
obviously we're
I don't think Boston's going to offer him the job because I'm just saying, like, if a good team like that, like, if the Pelicans
the
offer
Pelicans
him
are
the
going to do
job,
something weird.
I
have
don't
to think.
think he would consider it because they're bad.
I think the Pelicans are going to do something weird. It feels like they're going to do something wacky. Zion's
Bring
going
in
into.
Jeff Van Gundy. Let's make him
Now,
call
what is
him.
his connection? To
That's
the
true.
What he has a connection to the Pelicans. What is it?
I
What-
really like
what-
Stan Van,
what-
so I'm disappointed that he got fired after
Stan,
1 year.
yeah.
But if we could get Jeff into a sideline and Stan into a booth, that would be a win-win, I think, for all sides.
Well, again, do you have to take Mark? Because I think Mark has to be on the staff if Jeff gets a job, and vice versa.
what?
Mark Jackson,
Okay.
like Jeff Van
I was
Gundy.
literally thinking, is there a third Van Gundy named
No.
Mark that I don't know about?
No.
There's no way
Yes,
he wouldn't
Mark
be.
Jackson Van Gundy.
Mark
Yes.
Jackson Van Gundy actually is probably right.
Who are? Because it was because like you said, you thought the Pelicans might do something weird. It's Jason Kidd.
It's gotta be
and-
Jason Kidd,
But
right?
the other candidate is actually, and I'm drawing a
It's
mind
somebody
blank
from
now.
within the organization.
There's somebody from the organization. There's somebody from the Bucks, and then
There was somebody who gave a speech this year that was apparently very inspirational. That is
I don't
like
remember the other one.
to the team that is now
Yikes.
a candidate for the job. That would be kind of the outside, out of the box thinking.
If you guys find
The
it, I'll
second I
take
get
it.
the name,
I'm
I'll
looking
let
for
you
what
know,
I'm looking
yeah.
at. I think Woj had it, so I'm going to look and see.
The other thing, obviously, is that if Kawhi does
Oh,
have an
I got it.
ACL, that is,
Teresa Weatherspoon.
I don't know who that is. Do you guys know what that? Do you know who she is?
I just know she
don't
gave
know.
a speech to
Oh, okay.
to the Pelicans earlier this year. And apparently it was very inspirational. Oh, she's a Pelicans assistant coach.
Got it. Okay. I think the Pelicans are good. It just feels like
Jacques
they're gonna.
Vaughn and I'm Udoka were the other two names. Jacques Vaughn's an assistant.
You're not.
there.
You've got to stop saying that you're Udoka. It's ridiculous.
I thought Udoka was in Utah.
Yeah, or he's at least in a. I think was he on the G League team, or is he actually on the active roster?
I think he was on the G League last because he had that big injury.
Udoka, yeah, Udoka is.
Yes.
But and Beards keeps saying that he. What was that again?
I'm Udoka.
You're not Udoka.
But you guys don't look a lot alike.
No.
Does that work? Like when you go out, Beards? Is that like how like Lesky likes to tell people he's Billy Butler when he goes out? Is that a pickup
Doesn't he
line
tell
that
people he's
works
Mike
for you?
Sweeney? Is he got
Mike
Billy
Sweeney? I meant.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that a pickup line that worked for you, Beards?
I mean, I haven't tried it out.
You say I'm either Udoka, and then the other person goes
Who?
or
Or what?
and then you say or what? Not who, Beards. The line was or, not who. Who what?
No, it was the joke they were making.
But yeah, Teresa Weatherspoon is an assistant currently with the Pelicans. She has been since she's worked with them, I believe, since 2019, but she's been a full-time assistant since just 2020.
It's just absolutely this whole day of basketball is nonsense. Where last night, Kevin Durant had a 49-point triple-double.
He missed a free throw at the end that would have given him 50.
He was incredible. James Harden had one of the worst stat lines I've ever seen. Obviously, not 100%. Beard, did you have it? You seemed like you had a James Harden shot you wanted to get off.
Well, so I remember because the box score of that game from last night, he was 1 for 10 from the field for 5 points. It reminded
and he played 48 minutes, I think.
45 minutes.
45
Durant
minutes.
played 48.
Okay.
It reminded
How
me
dare you, Josh?
just on
Sorry.
that stat line alone of that game, and I think it was 2017. I've got it up there where they played the Spurs in the second round, and without Kawhi Leonard in the game to defend him, Harden was like I think 2 for 11 from the field and 1 for 2 in the first half, and it was one of those weird games that just obviously different circumstances, but it just triggered that memory for me.
KD went over the course of 48 minutes, 16 for 23 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, 13 of 16 from the line, 17 rebounds, all of them defensive, 10 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers, 3 fouls, 49 points.
So
How is James Harden the +4?
Kevin Durant.
Just being on the floor
Yep.
with Kevin Durant?
Yeah. A little side note, like how like
But Blake Griffin was a -4? Are we sure?
USA Today Sports has like the wires, right? Like
Sure.
Chiefs wire. What? Did you know they have like a full ball wire? There's Lonzo wire, LaMelo wire, LeVar wire, and LiAngelo wire, and a LeBron wire. But they have like a full section, and the little drop down menu is just called the balls. The balls are Lonzo, LaMelo, LeVar, and LiAngelo.
I don't like calling a website ball wire at all.
Well, the website's Lonzo wire, but the drop down is the balls.
Okay. If you're having issues with your ball wire, by the way, manscaped.com, use the promo code ALMOST.
By the way, you forgot to mention the other crazy part of that game last night.
Sure.
Jeff Green
Yeah.
going 7 for 8 from 3.
Yeah.
And in the Oklahoma City Thunder of the Northeast, basically, except for Russell Westbrook.
He's in the Northeast though too, just not that team.
The
Harden,
Hold
Durant,
on.
Harden, Durant, and Jeff Green were all on the same.
Hold on, Beards. Hold on.
We're all on that team.
Broklahoma City Thunder?
Sure.
Took me a while. Sorry for shushing you. I needed total silence to work out that perfect. No, it wasn't even a pun. It was
A mismatch.
no. What is that called?
I don't think those guys.
There's a
are
word for
broke.
that. There's a word for that. There's a word for the
Is Kevin Durant broke?
one word being 2 words. It's not a palindrome. That's different.
Well, I know Harden's not broke.
Oh my God.
Maybe
I
on-
can't.
Well,
Maybe
I
he's
mean,
spending
have you
money on all
seen?
the strippers.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like I'm not
Has he
saying
never
Harden's
retired in
broke,
Brooklyn yet?
but he throws cash around. That's for sure.
Portmanteau.
No, that's in the Northwest.
That's where Lillard plays.
Yeah.
I think Portmanteau sounds like a northeastern city for sure. Portmanteau's in New England. It's
ports.
beautiful this time of year.
Portland.
The Portmanteau Blazers.
If only one of them had a toe injury.
Portmanteau Blazers? That's pretty good, right?
Yeah,
man.
it's very
Portmanteau
good.
Blazers is definitely better than
very
the
good.
Oklahoma City Thunder.
It's very good.
I'll take it. Can I read you guys an Onion headline?
Jeff Green had an offensive rating of 195 in that game.
I'll take that as a yes.
That was the Onion headline, actually.
From the Onion, nation begrudgingly agrees to learn Devin Booker's name.
I did see that.
Did you read the actual body of it?
I did
It's very
not.
good. You know what? Can I read the internet really quickly, Beers?
Why, of course you
I would love to do
can.
that for this beautiful Onion article about my my son.
And now, Josh reads the internet.
Expressing frustration at the prospect of adding yet another basketball player to their collective consciousness, the nation begrudgingly agreed Wednesday to learn Suns guard Devin Booker's name. Quote, all right, I guess he's good enough to start keeping tabs on, whatever, said Elijah Forbes, echoing the sentiment of 328 million Americans who agreed to stop calling Booker, quote, one of the Jenner's boyfriends, or, quote, the guy standing next to LeBron in the picture. As far as the Suns go, we know Chris Paul from the commercials. We like Chris. Now I guess we'll make a little room for D-Book. Is that really what they call him? Huh. End quote. At press time, the nation vowed to never learn the names of any player on the Utah Jazz. It's the end of the story, Beards. Thank you. Perfect. Excellent. Great work as always.
Thank you.
So tonight we get Hawks Sixers,
Yeah.
which feels like I'm looking at it on my screen right now, and I'm surprised that series is 2-2. I don't totally understand how we got the 2-2 there, but it feels like Sixers are going to win that series, right? Does it feel kind of toast?
I mean, isn't Embiid healthy?
I don't know.
Nobody knows, Beers. That's the thing.
I don't know, but it seems
Is anybody healthy?
that's the question. And then tonight we get Jazz Clippers. I'm genuinely asking both of you on this if either of you feel properly equipped to answer this question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clearly no Kawhi tonight.
No.
Obviously.
We'll see.
Rudy got it wrong. First said yes before I even asked. Clearly no Kawhi tonight. Maybe no more Kawhi
Game
for
time
rest of the
decision.
rest of the playoffs. Kawhi's 2022 might be in jeopardy if it's a torn ACL. The phrase ACL injury makes me a little optimistic on his behalf. Then the Clippers have Paul George
Yep.
and them dudes.
Yep.
And then
Dude,
the
I wish had torn
Jazz.
his ACL.
What?
Paul George is bad.
Why did you just wish?
He's been
I'm
Paul
not
Paul George had a
wishing
great-
it.
Paul George
I'm
had a
saying
great game.
They wish it.
Probably not at this point, no.
At
Well,
this
I'm
point,
saying,
no.
but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying they wish he had, and not Kawhi.
Oh.
Yeah, but
Sure.
but the Chiefs couldn't give Chad Henne Patrick Mahomes' turf toe,
it was
Rudy.
just like a joke, because like Paul George has just been very bad in the playoffs.
Rudy.
Not this year.
Rudy, I don't- he had
Beer-
like a bad game.
he
right?
went like 4 for 17 like 3 games ago.
Okay, and he had 2 really good games since then.
Rudy, I want you to just do 2 things for me really quick. I want you to look out the window to your right, to your right, out the
Yeah.
Nope, that's the okay. Well, I was gonna have you look both ways anyway. So you have the balcony out here. You can look out. That's inside. You look
Yes.
around you. Rudy has looked at both directions, which is the whole
Yes.
goal. We can't make jokes about anything medical at this point in human history. We
Knee
can
injuries,
only
absolutely.
we can only no, because knee injuries are a hoax. And
Good point.
even that joke that I was going to make, I had to abort because I was afraid that I was going to walk into a joke that I didn't want to be making. Say you're sorry.
good.
Apologize to Paul George.
I'm not gonna apologize, Paul
Rudy,
George.
apologize.
I'm good.
Paul Georgiagize.
I'm good.
Portmanteau. So as a Suns fan, what should I be rooting for right now? Because here's the thing. I was rooting for the
Clippers.
Jazz because I liked the Jazz matchup much better with
Donovan Mitchell's
Kawhi.
also got an ankle injury.
Does he really?
And Connolly had a setback in his recovery
I think
thing.
he's
and
out tonight.
He's out tonight, and he might be out for the rest of the series, but they're like not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think I would rather deal with the Clippers because you just know Kawhi's out.
Oh, God, no.
Without Kawhi, you wouldn't rather
Because
play?
you just know
well,
Kawhi's
if
out.
there's-
Kawhi tore his ACL, Beers.
No, they tore it.
Okay, well, it's an
ACL
ACL
injury?
injury.
Sprained knee.
Kawhi's.
They're waiting for the swelling to go down.
If
It
not
is-
Kawhi, then yes, Clippers.
It is extremely likely that Kawhi is done for the rest of this year in the game next year.
I just want to know who I should be rooting for other than Chris Paul's immune system. Because my jersey right now, my number 3, the Valley jersey that just says immune system on the back, that's getting here with my Suns in number 4 jersey. Those are both on the way, but they're not going to get here in time.
Yeah, here's the thing. At the end of it likely looks what you're basically saying. Would you who do you fear more, Donovan Mitchell or Paul George? Because I don't feel like if I'm a Suns fan, I do not fear Paul George at all.
Yeah, that's
Literally
correct.
at all. Paul George does nothing for me. Like if Paul George is one of my 2 best players on my team, you have no chance of winning the title.
You're being really mean to Paul George.
He's just not that good. Like he's a good basketball player, but he is not a star. He never plays big in big games.
If the Clippers win tonight on Friday, will you apologize?
No. If he wins a title, I will. or just like has. I mean, take it back. He doesn't have to win the title. If he just like plays like if he has like a great Western Conference Finals and like win or lose, I'll apologize. I'll you say it. I've got all my stuff.
Now you got to just hit.
Apologize.
You're gonna plagiarize your apology?
Portmanteau Brothers.
It does sound like something I would do.
It's just been a bonkers day. Just absolutely. Like I saw the Conley thing. I completely missed Donovan Mitchell, and those 2 games that are happening tonight like aren't in and of themselves the biggest stories of the day. Also, at some point earlier, by the way, Brian Windhorst said that there was more still coming. It's wild.
But not Suns related. I saw that tweet.
Somebody tweeted me, and boy, to David on Twitter. David, you got to watch yourself, David. There's no E at the end of my name, but he did call me Dr. Brisco, which at first I thought was going to be an eventual COVID joke, but then I think maybe just referencing my beautiful check mark. So thank you, David. Because of that, you are forgiven. Said, what's more statistically probable, a false positive rapid COVID test or a positive result after vaccination? I think that if
Did you want a balloon out?
I think
Don't do that again.
that stop interrupting me and I won't have to. I believe
That was worse.
that if there was a rapid test with a positive, I would assume that there would be another test following that before he would enter the protocols. I think the specifics of entering the protocols probably means that it's actually a positive test. Because there is that minute chance of catching COVID even after being vaccinated.
Yes.
One of the reasons that you want the people around you to also get vaccinated.
Aspen says he hates it here.
Why?
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco
That was a upsetting sound that I had to make with my mouth.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We'll talk about baseball with David Lesky here in like 5 minutes. I'm not going to try to get into everything that happened today on that front because it's a lot. And we'll cook through the baseball stuff for about the next hour of the show. Here's what I want to talk about in a brief moment here. It's a tweet that I saw. Ben Albright tweeted it out earlier today, and it frustrated me more than anything in life. And I just did the first segment about anti-vaxxers. And then I made that annoying sound a bunch, and Chris Paul might be out for the first game of the Western Conference Finals. And this might have been the most angry I got today. This is from Side Hustle King on Twitter. It's not sports related at all. You shouldn't need that warning. The lead up should have explained this. Would you rather get paid $1 million right now?
Yes.
I literally I knew that was coming. That might have been our, I'm ruining it by explaining it, but that might have been our most in sync thing ever. Would you rather get paid $1 million right now?
Yes.
Or $50 every month for the rest of your life?
Yes.
$50? That's it?
$50 a month, not a significant, life-changing amount of
Let's
money.
see, I got 5 years. 5 times 12 is 60. I think I'll take the million.
And they say, I'll take option B. That's what passive income is. Find a way to make passive income. It'll change your life. Now, the ratio on this thing is pretty aggressive, but there are a decent number of people that have responded to this, and some of them appear to be kind of trolling on some level, and I'm not going to acknowledge the trolls of this. Here's what I'm going to say. Because this shows up on Twitter every few months, somebody says, you could lead me to water, but you can't make me fish, which is not the saying.
That is true. You can't make me fish.
You can't make me fish.
I'll sit there and I'll read a good book.
I would rather get
Stop fishing.
$50 every month than $1 million right now because I'm working for it. If the point, listen here, folks.
You want to know the math on that, by the way?
Sure.
How long do you think you're going to live?
I'm 28. I said if I just go to 80, it's $31,000. $31,200.
I think you're going. Oof, that's a long time, Beards.
So, here's the thing. If you had $1 million right now, do you know how bleeping easy it would be to make $50 a month based off of that?
Yeah.
Just put it in like any stock or bond.
Yeah.
Buy some crypto.
Yeah.
Invest in birdseed. It doesn't matter. With $1 million investment, you can live off of what you're going to make way more than $50 just based on your interest.
Yep.
And I know that most people listening right now understand this wholeheartedly.
I'd buy a Slim's chicken.
But Twitter is so stupid. It's such a stupid, dumb place filled with silly people.
Don't verify anybody these days.
Which is why I'm verified. I am the king of the dumb idiots on Twitter. And I'll take your $1 million. That'll be interesting out of context. David Lesky's next.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I'm Doug Brown. In the NBA playoffs tonight. Game 5 in Philadelphia. 76ers and Hawks. Series tied at 2. Less than 5 minutes in, the Sixers off to a good start. They lead 18-11. Joel Embiid has hit his first 4 shots from the floor. He's got 8 quick points. Later tonight, Game 5 for the Clippers and Jazz in Salt Lake City. Kawhi Leonard out for the Clippers with a right knee sprain. He could miss the rest of the series. Mike Conley Jr. out again for the Jazz with a sore right hamstring. Suns point guard Chris Paul, now in the NBA health and safety protocol. He is out indefinitely. Phoenix is waiting for an opponent in the Western Conference Finals. 2 more teams need head coaches. Stan Van Gundy lasts only 1 season as coach of the Pelicans, and Scott Brooks couldn't agree on a new deal with the Wizards. He's out after 5 years. There have already been 3 baseball walk-offs today. One of them breaks up a scoreless game in St. Louis.
The pitch, a hot shot, fair! It goes down the left field line. Here comes Paul Goldschmidt for a Redbird winner. Yadier Molina drives in the winner in the bottom of the 9th. The Cardinals have swept the Marlins, winning 1-0 at Busch Stadium. And they mob Yachty.
The call on the Cardinals radio network. Elsewhere, the Rockies beat the Padres 8-7 on a Charlie Blackmon walk-off in the 9th. White Sox get a 10th inning walk-off from Yasmani Grandal, beat the Rays 8-7 in Chicago.
Hey, it's Greeny, and Thursday we're looking ahead to the critical Game 6 in Milwaukee. What does KD have in store for an encore? Can Giannis bounce back? We're talking that and more. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I got a woman to give me $50 because I told her I was Mike Sweeney, and she believed me.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, Lesky.
Hi.
This sucks.
Yeah.
Do you want to do radio and you want to talk about it? You think you feel better if you talked about it?
No.
Do you think talking about it would make it feel worse?
Look, it can't get worse, right?
That's what I'm
thinking.
No, hang on. Buddy Bell made a very good point. Never say it can't get worse.
It can always get worse.
Let me just open up my
Oh, no,
folder.
Beard.
No, Beards, no.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
No.
I'd rather you not make it worse.
He's stroking his beard right now. I was hoping you would just be able to open one and just freaking hit spacebar. I need to introduce Lesky.
I have options. How's this for you?
It's not good.
It's not good. You've got to skip to the court.
Are you trying to get me to say on the line or no?
This sounds like a jukebox underwater in BioShock or something, playing John Fogerty's Center Field.
Actually, what it is it's my Walkman from when I was 6. But it's the actual Walkman that's been in a dumpster probably since I was 6.5.
Turn it up and give me a couple of the lyrics, Beards, and then get that bleep out of here. Beards just said okay to nobody and then stopped it. Just play, just turn it up and play a snippet of it.
See, I'm on field 2 right now, and this is playing on the speakers on field 7 on the other side of the facility.
You know what, Beards? This is going to be devastating for you to hear, but that one's kind of a vibe, honestly.
That one's all right.
So I'm sorry to ruin this for you, not ruining it for us. Get it out of here. I want to talk to Lesky. It's David Lesky of Inside the Crown and Royals Review. You can go to insidethecrown.substack.com. We're going to talk to him about the Royals. We were texting earlier, and there was some mutual fear that perhaps we would talk after we talked many times immediately following a Brady Singer start, that perhaps this one would go poorly. This one went pretty well, and then he got yanked. And then there was some disagreement after the game about what exactly the logic of that was. And the Royals lost again. And what is it now? They've lost 10 of their last 11, I believe.
No.
Is it more than that?
11 of 12.
It's 11 of 12.
See, it can always get worse.
God, it's bad, Lesky.
Oh, no, it actually didn't get worse. It was that Brisco didn't know what it was. So
made it worse.
got worse in his head, I guess.
Here's the thing, is at some point it just stops mattering.
Well, but okay, look, I said this on Twitter. I had the wrong number because I said it before the game ended. But they were 16-9.
Yeah.
Then 0-11.
Yeah.
Then 13-6.
Mm.
And now 1-11. Like I don't know how to look this up, honestly. Like, this is one of the things that I legitimately don't know how I would look up. But I cannot imagine there is another team that has ever had two stretches of at least 19 games where they had a winning percentage of 600 or better, and two stretches of at least 11 games that were under 100 within the first 2.5 months of the season. I cannot imagine. And there's a lot of qualifiers, so, whatever.
Yeah, but still, it's ridiculous.
I would be so surprised to find another team that had multiple stretches of each by this point in the season. It's crazy. It is crazy what has happened. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. I want to make one point about center field. This is really important, so I want to throw this out there.
Please.
If you've been to spring training, have you guys been to spring training for more than like a day or two?
As a youngin and as a fan.
Yeah, I've been there for a week.
Okay, yeah. So if you're out there for more than a day or two, you will hear center field at least 73 times. And you will also hear whatever the most popular song of 4 years prior is at least 30 times at every single park. So I haven't been out of spring training for a couple of years for COVID, and I just had another vacation a couple of years ago. But it was Uptown Funk for like 3 straight years from 17 to 19 or 17 and 18. I think we're Uptown Funk just like constantly. And if you get to a game early enough, you could hear it as many as 3 times before first pitch. It's almost as bad as the Royals right now.
I did an internship with the Cal Ripken baseball tournament once, and the Let Me Whip, Watch Me Whip, Watch Me Nay Nay, that song.
Oh, yeah.
They played that. They did a dance contest between kids every game, and there was roughly 8 games a day, and I had to listen to that song and watch kids dance very poorly to it about 8 times a day for about 3 weeks.
That's amazing.
It was. Whew. That's about my low point.
Well, yeah. But so anyway, so spring training. The point is, if you get out there, you will definitely find out what the number one hit of 4 years prior is. Every single game you get out there, multiple times before the game. It's quite impressive that every stadium has the same playlist.
Fun little, quick fun spring training fact. Lesky, I'm sure you'll remember this. The game where Salvador Perez hit the baseball off of Roldis Chapman's head. I was behind the Reds dugout about 2 rows back. Like that ball, after it hit his head, it bounced in the direction of us, and it was amazing how close that ball actually got to us.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah,
he went down.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen live. Like just how it just happened to be. We happened to be there at that game. It's still like the most like just craziest like live sports memory that I had.
Well, and that was like 2014.
Yeah, 2014. Yeah, because it was.
It's been a long time, and I mean, that's insane. Spring training's fun. Spring training is a lot more fun than Royals baseball right now.
My suggestion for spring training DJs would be to just play center field on an infinite loop, because eventually it just becomes a part of the background noise. Like you just stop noticing it. Not necessarily for Beards' absolute abominations.
Well, in the middle of a conversation, you'll just start singing random.
Yes.
You'll be like, so I went to get a concession stand. The sun came out today, and
yeah, so I'm watching the Royals baseball right now, and look at me, I could be having more fun somewhere else because of how this is going. I've always had a weird fascination with the Baseball Reference game results chart, that has just either a green bar or a red bar in the order of the margin of victory, and the run differential also supports this, as the Royals now 7 games under 500 are -40 on the year, but their losses, there are some brutal ones. There are a couple of big wins, and those you can visualize the streaks that way of there's 16-9, and then there's there's 11, and then there's 11 more. It's a tough look.
It looks like what's the DNA, the helix.
Yes.
If you were turned on its side, it would be great for like 6th grade science classes to show.
Yeah, 100%, and it would be more entertaining than the baseball has been.
Yeah, probably.
For today's game, that's not completely true because you did get a good start for Brady Singer. You got an offense that got back into it a little bit at the very, very end, made things painfully close, gave you 3 runs through the first 3 innings, and then you had a bullpen meltdown, which is just a nice little twist. After mostly it's been the starters and the lineups, at least they gave us some variety today.
Yeah, I mean, the bullpen's been good, right? I tweeted this, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's worth mentioning. People keep acting like Greg Holland is having Wade Davis's season, and he's not.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a rough start to the year, no doubt, 100%. I mean, he had to get pulled on opening day with I think it was a 5-run lead, and Wade Davis had to bail him out. He did. They won, but 14-10, whatever. It's fine. But after it was that game against the Rays, remember when it was like 35 degrees and he came out, and you could tell that he couldn't figure out how to pitch in that weather. And he gave up 3 runs, I think 4 runs, whatever it was, in like 2/3 of an inning. It was bad. He had a few days off after that. After that point until today, he had like a 2.2 ERA or something like that. I mean, he was striking. He had more strikeouts in innings. He only had 7 walks in that time. I mean, he'd been really good. So the idea that how dare Mike Matheny go to Greg Holland in the 7th inning when he could have gone to Jake Brent, who gave up a run, or Josh Stallmont, who gave up a run, or Scott Barlow, who gave up an inherited run and threw a ball so far out of the reach of Cam Gallagher that it scored what ended up being the winning run. Like that's so misguided to be upset about going to Greg Holland. I just want to throw that out there because he's been fine. Yes, he's their 4th or 5th best reliever, but also the 3 or 4 ahead of him have been really, really good. So I just want to point that out because I think the Greg Holland disdain is very misguided.
Yeah, I did see you tweet that, and I do think that's worth noting because honestly, I saw him come out there, have his disaster today, and I had that first knee-jerk thought of like, oh, God, he and Wade Davis. But then it's simply, they're not having the same season as you said.
No. And I think if Zimmer was available, I don't know that Holland would have pitched. But he probably wasn't from yesterday, and that's fine. And look, if your bullpen only goes 3 deep, does it really matter if Greg Holland's pitching the 7th? Because you're going to lose another game at some point. If that's all you trust, which I don't think is the case, but if that's the case, nothing matters. I mean, they could throw Irvin Santana every single game, and it wouldn't make a difference. So that's my thought on that. That's all I have to say.
The 2021 Kansas City Royals, nothing matters. That is the new tagline. Next T-shirt Tuesday or whatever. Nothing matters. It's just that, man, I'd love it. If somebody wants to make those jerseys, I'll take one. Here's on a somewhat similar note of things that are going to put you into a very nihilistic mindset, I think. Whenever Brady Singer talked after the game today, we haven't played the audio. We'll probably play that audio a little bit later. But he said he did not know that he was going to be on this 3-inning limit.
Yeah.
That's incredibly weird to me. I would also like to play for the 3rd time, I think, in this show the last couple of days. I'd like to play another clip that you may have heard by now. The program, they got to this first yesterday, and it's just blown my mind every single time. This is Brad Keller and Mike Matheny talking about Brad Keller's slider after his start.
Tonight, I found my slider. Felt like I had a lot more depth on my slider tonight.
He had trouble today finding a slider. That's the first time I've really seen him spike that many that were balls out of the hand. And they were non-competitive sliders that then put more pressure on him to be good with his fastball.
How is his slider, Lesky?
How can I convey the shrug emoji over the phone?
I think you did.
I mean, that was bizarre. And honestly, I thought not that I don't want to get too deep into this part, but I thought Keller's slider was okay actually. I kind of agree with Keller on this one. And the thing is too, like there's a lot of times, a guy will feel good on a pitch and it maybe doesn't have the best results. But that's not the worst thing. I mean,
Sure.
in that particular game,
Sure.
it's bad. But if he can kind of feel that slider, even if it doesn't look good to the outside, if he feels it, maybe it's going to be better for the rest of the season or for the next 6 weeks or whatever. But I thought it was okay. I mean, he got some swings and misses on it. I don't know. That was super weird. I also thought it was weird. Have you talked about Matheny's press conference last night, post game?
I don't know. I don't know which part of it you're referring to, so maybe not.
It just kind of ended.
No.
Like he just walked away. I'm like, what? I mean, I was listening on the radio because I was out at the park, so I was driving home. But all you hear the third or fourth question, and then next thing you hear, it's silence, and then you just hear like bags zipping. And that was it. I don't know what's going on. It
seems dark in there right now. It seems like a dark clubhouse.
It took much longer for him from the game ending to him talking today than it normally does. I would say 2 to 3 times longer, which isn't always. So it doesn't always mean something, but a lot of times that is the. I really don't want to talk right now. Like I need a minute.
Yeah, I need to put my head on my desk.
Yes.
and just close the door. I promise you, I will open the Zoom in a second.
Yes.
I need some time.
Just need a minute.
So there's all of that, and then there was also from Keller yesterday or from whatever day. I think Tuesday. What day is today? Wednesday? So it was yesterday? What day is it? Steve Spagnuolo in the house.
Who knows?
But so the other thing I guess it was from Monday night. We played it on Tuesday.
Yes.
So Keller also said, he was talking about how he felt like his stuff's been pretty good the last couple times out, but obviously the results haven't been great. And he said, I was talking to Cal,
yes,
and he said that he doesn't know what to do. and then Keller said towards the end of this answer, I'm paraphrasing, but saying, we can't keep doing the same thing and getting the same results. Clearly something needs to change. Shortly after saying that his pitching coach is plumb out of ideas. Now, look.
Which, by the way, hang on. That's the pitching coach who the broadcast will never fail to remind you says that Keller reminds him the most of himself. And so, theoretically, he should be able to work with him the best, right? I mean, look, who do you know better than yourself? I don't know anybody better than I know myself. I feel like if I was working with my clone, I would know how to handle myself.
Beards, will you mark that one for us? I think you'll enjoy having that one later too.
I'm okay with it.
Every one of these individual little yikes, that seems like a bad look for the pitching coach / pitching staff right now. Every one of those individually, I think, feels like an overreaction if you're going to take a whole bunch from it. But in a few days in a row, there's a weird lack of communication with a potentially injured pitcher. There is a lack of confidence in being able to do anything with another one of your pitchers simply trying to work through a terrible stretch where he says his pitching coach is out of ideas. You have the manager disagreeing with the pitcher about how his slider looked. Yeah. You have all of these young pitchers who are coming up with all of their various issues. The guys that were already here also finding new issues or at least having some pretty tough stretches. Lesky, I know that you love Cal Eldred, but I'm starting to wonder about this guy.
Look, I may have been wrong. Maybe he's not the guy for the job.
Yeah.
I was
nailed Hunter Dozier.
I was banking on Cy Young, but we're not. No, I'm not doing that right now.
Get out of here, Rudy.
No Hunter Dozier.
No Hunter Dozier.
Calm
Get out of here.
Calm it down. I mean, it doesn't bode well for the guy. This is his 4th season, and we had a long talk about this 3 or 4 weeks ago, so we don't need to do this again exactly. But tell me who's gotten better. Tell me a guy who has gotten better at the big league level. And Scott Barlow, I guess. I mean, he's pretty good.
Danny Duffy, maybe, who almost certainly is the guy on that pitching staff who is probably needing the coaching the least because he's been pitching professional baseball for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, and I don't want to rag too much on the Royals announcers, but what I will say is they are very much in the business of defending the team. I'll put it that way. And if we don't hear, look, the Cal Eldred talk is loud right now. It's not just random old me saying stuff on Twitter. It's everywhere. It has reached its its peak of loudness. Well, maybe there might be more. I don't know, but it's out there big time. And I haven't heard the broadcast defend him because that to me, that's the sign. If they defend him, they're probably. I mean, they hear what people are saying. That we can't be. Nobody should be so naive to think the organization tunes out the fans. They don't. No organization does. They hear it. They see it. There are people interacting on social media that you don't even realize are part of the organization. Like, that's the reality. And if the broadcast doesn't try to defend him, I'm not saying it's definitely true, but you kind of start to wonder, is this something that they're not worried about defending because whatever. And Alec was on with Saran on whatever day, Monday, I think it was. And I agree with him. Saran asked, would they make a change midseason? I don't think so. I don't see it happening unless, I mean, look, there's been some weird stuff over the last couple of days, and this could crescendo to a point that, they might need to. I think if something's going to happen, it's going to happen in October after the season's over. I would hope, I think, based on getting new blood, that they would go outside the organization. There's a couple names. The Indians' assistant pitching coach, Rafael Nieblas, I want to say is his last name. Anyway, he'd be a guy I would target. You wonder if there's a relationship with John Sherman from the Indians, all that. So that's another point for down the road. But I don't think it'll happen anytime soon. But I think it's interesting that we haven't heard a whole lot of coming to Cal Eldred's aid on the broadcast, because when that's where a lot of times where the organization will kind of push some things. And that's okay. It's their prerogative. It's like perfectly fine. But we haven't heard that yet. So I'm very curious how this weekend goes. Just to hear the thoughts, because like I said, the Eldred talk is loud. It's not whispers on various corners of the blogosphere anymore. It's everywhere. So
The one thing that I don't want to do, I'm gonna already stop myself. I'm gonna hit the back 30 seconds button.
Do it.
I do think at this point that I can't find a world in which saying like keeping Cal Eldred as the Royals pitching coach right now makes any sense. I don't think it makes any sense. I don't think you look at the resume of what the season has looked like, and if you want to give him the rest of the year, whatever, fine. The reason though that I hesitate about the year-long thing is if there's making a change in the offseason, is that if you get to a point where there's not only not improvements being made, but perhaps there's damage being done, or even if there's just not improvements being made in these incredibly formative, important years for these young pitchers especially, I wonder if waiting is not just about as bad as anything. But I also don't want to end up in a place where I say you can fix all of the Royals' pitching woes by changing their pitching coach, because I think that would also be pretty ignorant. So I don't know. How are you walking that line? Because I feel like I'm tiptoeing.
Well, so there's a couple things to think about. One, first of all, the players perform, and it is on the players to perform to the best of their abilities. The coaches give them the tools, but the players, they're big leaguers. They should have most of the tools. The concern that I run into, especially with Eldred, is the lack of adjustments, because that's where the coaching comes in to me. Jackson Kowar comes to the big leagues armed with a 97-mile-per-hour fastball, a fantastic changeup, and an average to slightly above average curveball. When it's on, maybe it's even more than slightly above average, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the big leagues, first start, whatever. I'm more than happy to write that start off. He was nervous, all that, whatever. It's fine. The second start, though, there were no adjustments from the first start.
Nothing different.
And it was absolutely 100% the same. And then he goes out there post-game. I've said this a couple times now elsewhere, too. But he gave a phenomenal answer, I thought. It was so well thought out. He said, look, if I can't get my fastball down, I can't get swings and misses on my changeup down. So if I can't do that, then I've got to bring my changeup. He understands everything. It was refreshing.
Yeah.
It was really refreshing to hear him explain that. And I thought, wow, this is a guy, he understands the science of pitching to that level. But there were no adjustments made. And you go, okay, well, maybe his glove was too high. Maybe he got out of the first inning too. I mean, he gave up one run on what day was that? Saturday, I think he pitched. He gave up one in the first inning, and you thought that's a really good sign. He can finally say, "Look, got in trouble and got out of trouble."
Yeah.
And then he came out in the second, and he was somehow worse. How does that happen? And it consistently happens.
Yeah.
It's not just that was obviously magnified. I mean, Daniel Lynch. He got worse every start. I mean, no, that's not true. Second start was the worst. So, but maybe he got better in his third start, and that's the improvement. But it just these guys aren't getting better. And I'll say it again. Brady Singer today was his 26th start. I said it when it was his 23rd start, 24th. He's the same guy as he was in his first start.
Yeah. Yep.
There's just no changing. And again, some of that's on the players, 100%, because the players play, right? I mean, I think that's they're the ones who have to get the job done. But it doesn't seem like, from the outside, it doesn't seem like they're getting the proper teaching to get better, both in game and in season. And I think that's becoming really apparent to most people.
And again, if I don't know why, I think I just don't want to fire the assistant coach guy. I mean, we talked about this during the 11-game losing streak. We're trying not to do that, right? A million years ago, back whenever they were good and then sucked for the first time this year. But Brad freaking Keller just said his pitching coach is out of ideas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I don't think he was trying to chuck him under the bus. And I would be pretty surprised if Keller was doing that as some sort of Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, little bird to kind of throw out there. He just sounded like a dude who was frustrated, who couldn't figure it out on his own and isn't getting anyone else to help solve it for him. And that just seems totally untenable. I mean, every once in a while, you'll have after a game, I'm thinking football because you got a way smaller sample size. You say, we just couldn't stop them. We just didn't have anything for them, whatever. You can spread that out to players and coaches, and maybe they can say, we weren't ready for them, and that sounds like a shot at the coaching staff. But if that happens 7 games in a row, the defensive coordinator is going to get fired. It's going to happen every time. And I just don't know how you can keep saying, much like Brad Keller saying, we can't keep doing this. I don't know how you can be the Royals right now and saying, let's just keep doing this.
I agree. And the other thing, too, fair or not, when the players don't perform, you can't fire every player. I mean, first of all, they're not just going to release Kawhi, Lynch, Keller,
right?
Boom. Like that's not going to happen. There's a scapegoat involved, and sometimes, honestly, I don't think they deserve it. Sometimes I think that they get the boot because they got a raw deal, and I was not I've never been a fan of Calder as a pitching coach, but at the same time, he didn't have talent. I mean, that 2018 pitching staff, I don't think Leo Mazzoni in his Atlanta days would have gotten a whole lot out of that staff, honestly. So you give him a little bit, you say, okay, this is not your, we'll see how you do with talent. There's talent on this staff. I mean, you cannot look at this pitching staff. You've got Mike Minor, who finished top 10 in the Cy Young 2 years ago. Brad Keller, who had a 2.2 ERA last year, whatever it was. Short season, sure, but he still was really good.
Yeah.
Danny Duffy, having a nice season, but injured. So that's not anybody's fault. That's not Cal Eldred's fault. You've got Jackson Kowar, a top 100 prospect on Baseball America. Daniel Lynch, top 100 prospect, Baseball America. Brady Singer, first-round pick three years ago. And I mean, this is a talented pitching staff. I didn't say good. I said talented. They have big arms. The bullpen. They got Josh Stalmont, who, he's struggling. I don't think this is Cal's fault that he's got, recovering from COVID and then the knee issue and then dead arm, all that. But I mean, he's the guy who, when he's right, throws 100 with a nasty curve. Scott Barlow's got one of the best sliders you'll see. Jake Brent's is throwing 100 from the left side. I mean, Kyle Zimmer has been really, really good. They have a ton of talent on this staff. This is not the 2018 team.
Yeah.
This is not the 2019 team. At some point, if talented players do not progress, somebody's got to pay for that.
Yeah.
And whether it's Cal Eldred or, Larry Carter in the bull, nobody talks about him. I don't know what he does.
Right.
Or both or whatever. I don't know. But somebody has to pay for the issues that a talented team is having, and especially with the Royals, who've said, "Hey, we've got 7,214 young pitchers. We're going to be cycling them up, and we're going to win 9 World Series." And every single one of them comes up, and they're underwhelming.
Yeah. That's the part that
some point,
concerns me.
something's got to happen.
Yeah, because that there is the thing that I actually am worried about. Because here's the thing, man. I don't really care if Cal Eldred is employed. I don't really care if there's someone who has to pay for this. I don't really care that much. What I do care about is that the young pitchers who are coming up that are supposed to set you up for the next 5 to 10 years of being a good to eventually dominant baseball team with a good to eventually dominant pitching staff. I care that those guys are getting coaching and development and adjustments from the guys above them that are going to help them become what we think they should be able to be. And right now, I would have absolutely not one single reason to believe that the Royals, whoever you want to make that call about, I have no reason to think that right now the Royals are in a good place whenever it comes to developing young pitchers and helping them adjust. I have no reason to believe that.
Yeah, and it's an issue because it's exactly what it is. This is what the organization has said, and they painted themselves in a bit of a corner. If they don't want to move on from Cal Eldred, well, they've done this to themselves.
Yeah, and also all of your young pitchers suck. If the coaching isn't bad, all of your young pitchers that you're hinging all these hopes on, sorry guys, they're all terrible because apparently the coach is great.
Yeah, well, it's exactly both things cannot be true, and so you got to pick one. And I don't think look, I've learned that you can't say never, but I don't think they're going to release every young pitcher.
Yeah.
And replace them with other young pitchers for this big league staff to work with. So, I'm just using a little A plus B equals C logic here. I think we know the answer. And now I feel like at this point, and maybe this is just wishful thinking, but I don't think it's a matter of if. I think it's a matter of when, unless things go absolutely just flip on their head and everybody's starting Friday, everybody's great for the rest of the season, which I'm going to – look, I don't know where I can place a bet on this, but if I find a place, I'm going to bet that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to bet a large sum of money, probably more than I can afford to lose. So, I think that's where we are. And the funny – people – well, if you're going to talk about Eldred, you got to talk about Terry Bradshaw. I don't entirely disagree with that.
Sure.
Just for the record. I've always believed pitching coaches are more influential than hitting coaches, for one thing. For another, I talked about the talent on the pitching staff. The talent in the lineup, not quite the same.
Nope.
Look, I think you could, if you want to say, hey, Jorge Soler and Hunter Dozier took 2 huge steps back. Each took a huge step back this season, or multiple huge steps back.
Mm-hmm.
And blame that on Terry Bradshaw. Have at it. I can't argue with you.
Sure.
So I don't know, but I mean, with this lineup, we talked about it. It was a really long lineup.
Yep.
But if more than one of these guys was hurt or wasn't good, they were going to have problems because they don't have a lot of depth in the upper minors with the bats.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's happened? Mondesi missed the first 45 games and then the next 15 or whatever it was. Soler and Dozier have been non-existent for the most part. Soler's been much better since his little groin issue, for whatever it's worth. But Dozier's never figured out, except for like a 2-game stretch where he was going off like crazy. Benintendi's now hurt. Whit Merrifield has taken a big step back, but he's 32. I mean, look, guys.
That's not a developmental issue on Whit. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's maybe just the aging curve, or maybe he could use a freaking day off. But that's
days off are overrated.
He's getting one tomorrow, I guess.
I've never had one.
I think I feel like you can blame Terry Bradshaw, but at the same time, look at the lineup today.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, you've got your bottom 4. Was it 4? Yeah, your bottom 4 is Kelvin Gutierrez, who has never met a ground ball he doesn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Who was next?
Hanser Alberto is next, playing second base.
Hanser Alberto, who can't hit. Michael A. Taylor, who has his swinging strike percentage on 95 plus is 20% higher than the league average. I mean, that's a lot. And then Cam Gallagher, who's your backup? Look, I like Cam Gallagher. He's got to play. Salvador Perez cannot catch every day.
Yep.
That's fine. But the problem is you've got these other guys, and it's just I don't know what you're expecting from Terry Bradshaw, whereas you look at the Royals pitching staff, and there is talent at every level of the staff, and they're just not getting it done. So
Well, I don't
That's
want
who I am.
I don't want that to be the end of the segment, and so I'm gonna give you this. Lesky.
Well, I have something to mention to you too. So you go first. And
Okay.
then it's a very good thing for you.
Oh, excellent.
Oh boy.
I wonder if we're gonna go to the shortstop position twice here, because here's what I want to say,
No.
Lesky. Okay.
Nope.
Mondesi though, looks pretty good playing baseball, huh? This was after, I think this was right before his second at bat. They showed, or second or third at bat, they showed a highlight reel of his day to that point on the broadcast, and it was the most effortless homer possible. It was 2 double plays, and he just looks like the best baseball player who's ever played baseball. When he is, you get like the dreads flowing in the wind. He looks like a freaking shortstop, but kind of an alien playing shortstop. He's got like a Tatis vibe. It's just that he doesn't play baseball as often as I would like for him to.
Yeah, he's top. I don't know. I haven't thought this through exactly, but of the 20 most talented players in baseball, again, we're talking talent.
Yeah,
Mondesi's on that list. I mean, I don't know how many players can hit a ball 440 feet, can effortlessly that double play. I think they reeled him out of the baseline, but he made that. It was easy.
Yeah.
It was like nothing.
He's got a 9-foot wingspan. It's incredible.
Right, and even. They talked about this on the broadcast, so kudos to them. That play up the middle with the ball over the bag, that is not easy. And it looked like the most routine play you'll see from a shortstop. He needs to make that play. Yeah. Every shortstop should make that play. They don't all make it look that routine. He just makes everything on the field look easy when he's going well. And, I mean, look, the guy hits it, and he can run like the wind. I mean, and he's a switch hitter, so he's never at a platoon disadvantage. Like, there is nothing on the field that Mondesi can't do except for work a walk. That's the only thing. And, it's funny that you look in the division, Byron Buxton, same type of guy. He is so insanely talented. The only thing he does differently than Mondesi, other than position, is he's not a switch hitter. So he's hitting righty against right-handed pitchers. Okay, cool. And both of them, now, Buxton's played 24 games. Mondesi's now played 8. But they're both having monster seasons. Again, 8 games, I don't know. But it's kind of interesting that these two guys have both broken out and they can't stay on the field. But, boy, if either one of them could, or if they both could one year, it wouldn't surprise anybody if they're both top 5 in MVP votes because they're both so talented. Mm-hmm. It's fun to watch when Mondesi's on the field.
What is the last thing you want to leave us with?
So I wanted to tell you that you have a 9-year-old demographic listening. I got a text from a friend the other day who I haven't seen much of lately just for a lot of reasons. And her son, Ethan, did not believe that she knew me because he hears me on this show almost every week. And so so hi to Ethan.
Shout out to Ethan.
Shout out to Ethan. I do know your mom. She's okay, I guess.
Ethan, your mom is an angel.
Eat your vegetables.
I love your dad. Your mom's okay.
Ethan, be nice to your parents.
But you have a 9-year-old demographic, and I thought you would enjoy that because
I do.
I think that is exactly what you've been going for here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of perfect.
Yeah, it really is. I think that for the most part, this show is about trying to hook the 9-year-olds, because in 9 years, they're 18. A couple years after that, 20.
That sounds creepy.
Yeah, I regret it. Yeah, Rudy started making faces. The point is, you talk about
Beard, can you mark that?
The valuable, please don't. The 18 to 30, whatever demographic with the money. That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to, I want the 9-year-olds to be able to pay me whenever they have money.
I'm sorry, 18 to 30 has money?
Eventually, well.
What is the actual demographic? I just picked numbers. I
think it's like 35 to 54 is what you want for the money.
Yeah.
They'll get there eventually.
Hey, Josh, we're in this 18 to 30 graphic. We don't have money.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, that went off the rails exactly as I would have expected, but shout out to Ethan because...
Eat your vegetables. Otherwise, you'll grow up and be like Beards.
You don't want that.
You don't want that.
You're just going to listen to center field all day long. That's no way to live.
We should put a content warning at the beginning of this segment. Just like, if you are under the age of 18, don't listen to this segment just because of what the God, Beards, it's so bad. What center field in this form will do to your brainwaves. It will bleep you up. I can say bleep you up around the 9-year-old, right? I wouldn't say any of the actual naughty words, but I could say bleep. I meant mess. Ethan, it was short for mess. Anyway,
that's what you're blocking.
That is, dump that, Beards. Lesky, thank you both for that nugget and for just sort of talking me through the grieving process about the Royals pitching staff And
Hey, they're on their way to a 17-8 stretch, just for the record, so it's fine.
by the way, do you know what they're pacing for now?
72, 73 wins. Yeah, it's not great.
I mean, like that felt like it might have been on the table before the season, but to have the good stretches that they had and to still be on
But
pace.
you can't be 29-26 and end up at 73 wins.
No,
you just can't.
You should. I think you shouldn't. If I was allowed to
I
cast
guess
my vote,
I guess you can. It's certainly possible.
You may be able to.
It shouldn't happen.
We may have proof of that in October.
Yeah, this team feels like they're gonna again. I mentioned Salibo earlier. You mentioned this. Yeah, I just think this is what this team is. Like they're going to go on some weird winning streak where Mondesi hits like 10 home runs.
In a month, if Mondesi's still healthy, all of a sudden you've got probably Duffy back, Benintendi back, Mondesi's there. So like I said, Jorge Soler started to pick it up a little bit. All of a sudden you're like, oh, this team's actually pretty talented again.
Winning it all, postseason baseball.
Yeah, and then they lose. They go 3-17 over the next 20, and then we're back here.
And then it's training camp, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. The training camp's here. Thank you, Lesky. We'll talk to you again soon, and hopefully the Royals will win more than one game in between our conversations.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not putting any faith in that.
Don't hold your breath. David Lesky, you can follow him on Twitter at DBLesky. You can read his work at Inside the Crown. It's insidethecrown.substack.com. It's an incredible newsletter. It's an incredible piece. It's all free to sign up for right now. You can go subscribe to it, and it'll be great work from Lesky in your inbox pretty much every day. And you can also get some of his work at royalsreview.com. Ethan, do eat your vegetables. And
eat them.
But, you don't have to eat all of them all of the time. Just don't.
I mean, eat some chicken, too.
Just have a nice. Listen, Ethan. This is a pretty deep cut. I don't know if you listened to the first hour of the podcast or not, but Ethan, don't just only eat Pop-Tarts.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
The Royals have a chance today to have the worst offensive stretch in the history of a game that's been played since Jesus was here.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Last segment of Almost Entirely Sports tonight. That's right, run from 6 to 8. Honestly, we're going to be done with the sun still up.
Yeah, it's going to be weird.
Got to be weird. Coming up next, Golf Underground U.S. Open Special with George Brett. That's a 2-hour double feature ordeal for you here tonight from 8 to 10 tonight here on 810.
Torrey Pines, I think.
Did you say Torrey Pines not knowing if it is in fact Torrey Pines?
Pretty sure it said Torrey Pines.
The only thing I know with confidence is that Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau are not playing together.
Is that Torrey Pines?
Never a doubt.
We just need to get them to be the top two leaders heading into Sunday, because then they just, at that point, they put you together. You don't have a choice.
If we could get, I have
the top three heading into Sunday play together.
Guys, I have a tab of my notifications on my phone on Twitter that's just for notifications I get from verified people who interact with me now. I have the verified tab. Oh,
it's gonna be even more unbearable.
It's hard. Here's the thing: it's like
it's hard to top.
It's like saying I'm gonna get even more strong and handsome.
Yeah.
It's like, is that even possible?
I went golfing this weekend for the first time in like 5 years. My elbow still kind of hurts.
That was
lie,
on.
Though,
when did you?
Saturday. I have not golfed it. It's probably been 5 years. It was like 2 houses ago, essentially 2 living places ago. And first 9 was a little rough, but then I got some things figured out. And honestly, not too bad on the back 9.
What did you shoot? Do you know?
I don't remember the number, but very, very bad. And actually, the number would be lower than what I actually did, because like on some holes I shot like a 12, but my dad's like, well, on a par 5, the highest score you could actually have is a 10, so you had to mark that a 10. So that rule helps me out.
You didn't shoot over a 90 on the back 9.
Oh, on the back 9, yeah, definitely below a 90 on the back 9.
Because that would be 9 per hole. So
yeah, I was doing a solid on the back 9. I birdied a hole. I parred a hole. I did all right. Couple holes I shot like a 7 on, because just sometimes every now and then you just lose it. It happens. I had a nice one, par 3, where there's the lake in front of you, and I just hit it perfectly over. And it was just like, wow.
Over the lake?
This felt
beautiful.
Good.
That's
beautiful drop. It was just like, that felt good. I will say, like, I'm not again, not a huge golfer. Golfed once the last 5 years. And I imagine it's just like
golf guy Rudy Salazar?
I imagine I like to bring a hat. I bought a hat.
Is this the hat you wore to Johnny's?
Yeah.
I like this hat.
I did not plan on buying a hat, but I saw it. I was like, I really like this hat, and it fits perfect, man.
Looks
it's the
good.
best fitting hat I've ever owned.
You got to wear it in for a show sometime. Get Twitch to give you their
Friday.
feedback.
I'll wear it on Friday.
Excellent.
But I imagine this happens in most sports, like when you just execute what it is that you're trying to do athletically perfectly. But like when you just hit a ball like perfectly, or just when it feels right, like it is a rush.
You go to ballwire.com, and we should. It's too late to dump that. I did say out loud. There's it's
LonzoWire.com.
All right, it just says ballwire.com can't be reached. So it's just not a website.
Yeah, that's not a website.
Now I gotta
LonzoWire.com.
Gotta go to GoDaddyGet.com and hold on. Ballwire.com.
LonzoWire.usatoday.com. You don't have to type in the USA Today part. You can just type in LonzoWire.com. It'll get you there.
Okay, so
for all your
ballwire.com, is that domain available, or is it? Oh, it's a premium domain. I'm probably not.
Yeah, it checks out.
I'm probably not going to pay $20,000 for it.
Let's see what LeVar Ball's page.
What about ballwire.gov? Is that available?
Well, I'm going to search Ballwire. Ballwire.shop is available.
I didn't know there was a .shop.
.org, .live,
There's
.tech,
a everything.
.co, .info. We got a .show. We have AES.show.
What about .ed?
.xyz is $1 for the first year.
What about .bbb? The big baller brand.
Don't think it's available. Anyway, probably not going to get to that Rose audio that I spent some time organizing and cutting
I
over.
forgot about.
No.
Well, here's what happened.
We had a long conversation with Lesky.
Mike Matheny said that Brady Singer was on a pitch limit, an inning limit. And Brady Singer was like, yeah, I found that out when I was being removed from the game. He didn't know. Wasn't told.
We covered most of this. We covered most of this with Lesky already, but like
that's what happened.
It's It is a feat of inhuman confidence right now to have some sort of confidence in the coaching staff around these pitchers.
I think they're going to tell Mondesi that he's playing tomorrow. Or see if he just figures it out on his own.
He walks out on the field. Actually, you're on the 10-day again. Come here.
That's the thing. That job, Rudy.
Has Mondesi actually been hurt?
I understand your joke there, but I do feel like it may have hit a little too close to home. That honestly, if Mondesi doesn't play tomorrow, I'm gonna have a meltdown. No AS tomorrow. We're back on Friday. We'll talk to you then. Until then, bye, Mom.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.